Guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the days from your love, you see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. What you won't do for love. You tried everything. Wrong with me. Well, I'm in the days from your love, you see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. What you want to do for love? You tried everything, but you won't give up. In my world. Good evening, everybody. Yeah. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I have a little groupie kind of people that my guard dogs will get loud. You wouldn't believe my corgi, who is I say she's similar to a Twinkie in size. However, her voice is so loud, and her barking is so loud that it can get us. So Rachel's going to be out. So it might be one of those things where it'll come in a little later. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 1% Tribe. I'm excited. Tonight will be kind of fun. We're going to dive into something called, there's books on it, there's lots of different things, but this one's called in the realm of it's emotional intelligence. So what we're going to do is when we talk innate intelligence, if everybody saw my show, oh dang, let me see if I can bring it down. Well, I'll get it to you. Innate intelligence is, and we'll go through that in our chiropractic philosophy in the next ones, but innate intelligence, the body's ability to understand, to have a intelligent movement pattern. So function, your heart pumps without you thinking. You don't need intelligence from your brain to do it. You have the cells of your body intelligently doing that. That's an easy way to think of innate intelligence. Emotional intelligence is very similar. However, we've never really explored it in our life. Oh, that's you. I'm gonna have Amy come popping over. And there we go. Yeah, so in that part, emotional intelligence can be one of those things that is a very big missed part, right? So we have the smell, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. We don't understand the sense of emotions and what those are. We're one of the only species on the planet that you can really, I always say, like my dog, it's either warning, where she's barking all over heck, just like now, without my wife here yet, or they're the happiest person to see you ever, right? So theirs is a little less complexity to what we're going to do. And tonight, my hope is we go through a little bit of those things, and we can step through, some of that information. So my first thing is I found some cool stuff this week on. Hello, Amy. How are you? Good.
Good. I'm doing good.
Excellent. Yes. I know. We had a little faux pas if you weren't here yet. The dogs decided there was a random leaf in our yard that needed to get.
Well, dogs and 5-year-olds.
Yes. So bear with us as tonight, as Rachel comes back home, it'll be a little bit. My hope is we'll be done by that time where the dogs don't go nuts again. But if they do, we'll get it off there. But so here's the things we found this week, which is great, really good info. Orange, sorry, I was gonna say orange. Onion juice. Onion juice. Sadie. Oh, no wave to me today. That's okay. She'll come back. I know how she is. There she is. How are you? You
I'll say
good?
it again. Okay, I had her muted. Say it again. You're good.
Good.
Good. I like it. I like it. I'm getting taller. Every time I see you, you're like almost way tall. It's crazy. I know. Well, so this is what we were talking about. Onion juice. Onion juice placed in your hair. So like twice they did the science of taking onion juice and putting it in your hair for those people that have what they call alopecia areata, which is losing your hair. And they decide, we know about gut bacteria and how to reverse that part. And then that's a big part of the hair issue. One other one they found to treat it, though, was this like rubbing the onion juice into the hair. So I thought that was really cool. I'm like, don't know much. I'd probably put onion juice in hair and see what happens. I don't know how to squeeze an onion or how they get onion juice.
Ugh.
But it has been used years ago or in garlic. So garlic's been a treatment that they've used a long time. They're finding stupid results though. It's like 70%. If it's the alopecia, right? So it's the one where they lose hair. And what alopecia what I've read after that is the bacteria actually attack the hair follicles, that there's some kind of bacterial issue that creates the hair follicles to lose. So that one could be something if you know somebody that has that issue. So just let you know that twice daily, you're supposed to do it topically. Let me know if you figure out how to squeeze an onion. So that's kind of funny. That's all right. So moringa, Moringa. It's also known as horseradish tree. Very, very good for anti-inflammation. So what I was watching, the article I was looking at, it looks really similar to turmeric, but could be an alternate to turmeric. Very good cell protective, hair and skin again, GI benefits like turmeric is this huge anti-inflammatory. Anytime I get it. Now moringa is like our big tree root. And so a lot of times it's in a powder form. You can find it now in stores or, those kind of things. Because it's not as known, sometimes maybe walk through it with your natural doc and make sure you're like watching what you're doing on that one. But usually comes in a powdered form and can be purchased. But remember that one because we'll probably hit it up again. Here's one that's interesting. So there's an article that says that, and we've gone over it in a bunch of 1% tribes back in the day, that grip strength is a big indicator of age. So like age, it tells you how you're aging, I guess you would say. So it's a good indicator of like how your body's aging. And it makes sense because it's the furthest nerves away from your body or from your nervous system and those kind of things. And that's what usually as we age, we lose. Feet and hands are like one of the first to go. So with this exercise called dead man hang, which is basically hanging onto a pull-up bar as long as you possibly can and then letting go. So or like seeing how long you can hang there and and you get it. And I love this one because it's such a challenge. Like the hang part isn't as hard as you think. So like when you do it, you're doing that strength thing. Now I'm a chiropractor, so I use my hands all the time. But when you start doing it, you'll feel pretty good there. But how do you breathe on it when you get good, right? So you have to like learn how to open your whole body up as you're doing it, which is fantastically awesome, like as we go. So there's that. And then the last one that I want to do this because I'm going to bring this up because what we're going to go into. Okay. So loneliness is more hazardous than obesity or smoking. And that is a major, major deal. As we go forward, the reason it's a touchy one because no one wants to talk about it, right? But if we can fix that piece of what we're talking about with emotions, a lot of times our health will go in massively different directions. So Amy, you got any questions on any of those? You good? All right, sweet. All right. So let's go into this a little bit. And hopefully I'm doing it a little different tonight. So hopefully we'll get a good one going here. Oh, here we go. No. View slideshow. Okay. All right. So here's one way to think of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not the emotion itself. Okay. So the emotion itself is a little different, but the emotional intelligence piece is going to be quite interesting. So with that, emotional intelligence has self-awareness, empathy, social awareness, emotional balance, self reflection, relationship management, empathetic listening, understanding others, emotional resistance, self control, and conflict resolution. That's what you would say emotional intelligence is. So these are all ways to help you engage in how to handle these. I have a different, more holistic view of this, but this is a good way to think about it. Like, it's not that people have out of control emotions, it's they have out of control systems of figuring out how to balance those. And so a lot of times what happens is all of us have all of the, every emotion we can think of at one time or another. The biggest thing is how good is your these different mechanisms, right? And this is where a psychologist or somebody would come in and like go, okay, you need to work on this because you're I'll give you an example. If I got really, really mad all the time, so like where if I'm a very angry person, oh, I gotta move my mic. Okay, there we go. If I'm a very angry person or something, we would go into, let's say, conflict resolution. So that's how a psychologist would look at, like as how they're going to deal with the anger issues, right? So that is one big part of what's going on there. And so as we go, just remember that. So there's systems of each emotion that could help you quite a bit in like in understanding like okay because we do a lot in we'll get into that in a minute. We do a lot in diving into that emotion and staying there And what we really need to do is figure out the next system, like that to help you out where we can do that. All right. So before I'm gonna go get my dogs, I apologize. I will be, I will be right back. Let's do this again. They're driving me nuts tonight, which is okay. They don't happen very often, but they don't have their other owner hanging out on a couch. That's the problem. All right. I wish these dogs would just understand Zoom. I don't understand how they don't understand.
Weird.
I know, right? All right, so let's go back a little bit. Um, oops. Let's go back. Boom. Sorry about that. All right. So we kind of got the idea there. All right. So what we're going to go over tonight is the understanding of emotional energy as a key to understanding health and vitality, ways in which you can harness this understanding in your own life. And we're going to talk about a few stories about different situations. So I'm excited about this one because I see it in real time. I think one of my favorite parts of being a chiropractor is understanding like where I get to see all of those different pieces. And so, as we never know, like as you go, you don't know what's actually happening until you hear the journey. Once you start taking that journey with that person, it changes the whole thing. And that's why, it's so good, to have these conversations. All right. So this is what the definition of emotional intelligence is. It's the ability to manage both of your own emotions and understanding the emotions of other people around you. And there are five key elements to emotional intelligence. It's self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So these are there. Okay. So these are all ones of, and to hear this a lot, we're going to talk about it because it's one of those things. It's how to manage or understand these emotions because it's just like anything. If I understand the human body and when things happen that cause my back to hurt, that's a self-awareness piece of a physical thing that I can control. The same thing with emotions. If we can understand how to do that in a better way, and like you're going to change your health, for years to come. It's not just about right now, like that's the biggest thing to understand. Okay. Okay. So here is a very fun, these are just stories, okay, that I remember as being a chiropractor. So Amy's probably heard them 1,000 times. She may not have though. So I don't know if I've told this one. Okay. So the first one is I have a friend that was a medical doctor, he is a medical doctor, and he was always interested, completely interested in chiropractic, holistic health. He's always been there. And one day he asked because he'd get adjusted, and the guy's knowledge is ridiculous. Like it was up there. So I never really thought any of the holistic questions would come around.
Well, one day, or he comes in and he starts prodding a little bit. He's like, "Well, what would you do with the guy with like your little holistic thing?" You know, he didn't say it like that, but he said, "What would you do in holistic world for a guy that has like really bad cholesterol?" And of course, I kind of get in the jive. I know I go like 220, 230, what? Like he goes, "No, how about like 295, 285?" I go, "Oh, well, that said person probably wouldn't do what I would suggest because that person has some serious anxiety or they have entrapped themselves so deep in emotion. I don't know if they would believe anything I'm saying. So probably medication." He's like, "Well, what would you do?" And so what ended up happening was I said, "If this person's in this room, I will give them $100 if they can do this." I told them, I said, "Your patient, you go back and tell your patient you're going to meditate for 10 minutes every day for 3 weeks. Hopefully it's more, and hopefully it makes it more than like 3 months, 6 months." And that's what I would start with. I wouldn't start with anything else. I'd let them do the same meds, the same, all that, but start there. So 2 weeks in, this certain MD brings me in the data that it went from 285 to 210 in 2 weeks. Okay. Once we understood the reason, okay, so the reason that the cholesterol was that high wasn't in his case necessarily bad eating, any of that. He's like one of the best healthy people on the planet. It was this locked in stress that was just there. It wasn't family. It was a lot of getting hit with a hammer every day at work, like those kind of things. And so that was one of my favorite stories. Another one, this one is one of my favorites because me and him both kind of looked at each other when this happened. So I had a police officer, he's years ago, have sciatic nerve problem. And so this sciatic nerve problem was going down his right leg and all those kind of things. So he starts with chiropractic, never really been before, and it does really well. It got him better. He's feeling a lot better. Well, then about 3 to 4 months later, he comes back and he says it's like this, the pain never left. It came back like a vengeance. And I'm like, that is strange. What have you been doing? He was like on vacation. He wasn't even doing um, you know, police work. So I said, okay. So there's a special way sometimes, a lot of times I'll check the way physical, emotional, or chemical, like to asking the body basically, like, what is it? What can you give me? And when I asked the body that, his went emotional so fast that I go, and I didn't say anything because it's not a big holistic thing to just throw it out there. I said, "Hey, what's going on? Are you having everything good in your, like family, everything else?" He's like, "No, not really." That wasn't the reaction. I just remember it so well. He's like, "No, it's not. Absolutely not." I go, "What happened?" He goes, My daughter got hit by her boyfriend and they live way away, and I'm about to go down there and do something to the boyfriend." I'm like, "Well, don't do anything to the boyfriend, but but go down, do what you got to do. But you have to understand that's where your pain's coming from." And as soon as him and I realized that that was the trigger, right? That was the trigger. It was like automatically it never came back. Like he never even had the issue. And the reason is because he understood how to control it. Even at the physical level, he knew if he got that angry, he's going to cause his body some major problems, right? So that was a good one. Um, oh, what was the daughter's one? See, I wrote this 2 weeks ago and now I can't remember. I had so many. So
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I remember that one. The first two I remember.
yeah, I
Uh,
have one. I'll give you the other.
oh, I think I remember that one.
Yeah.
Was she in her 50s?
Yeah, well, this one we see a lot. So I could probably, even if I can't remember the example, I could probably tell you about it a lot. Where like in this one, you see a person's health, like, because when we're outside of that world of the stress you're in, you know, it's tough because you can see it, in certain set, you can feel it in your physical body. This daughter that was struggling with taking care of the two families, that happens like every day now. You see it a lot with family things and all those kind of things. Her ability to be overwhelmed in that situation was just getting to a point where it started to take its toll. Like she started getting um chronic fatigue syndromes, all these autoimmune diseases, all those things. A lot of these autoimmunes, I'm telling you, it starts in the emotions in the mind, like in the sense of the beginning, and like where can we release a lot of these things. And that's why we struggle treating them, because we don't know and we don't dig deep enough, right? So that one, anytime you see that, when you have somebody working, taking care of two different families, doing all these different things, and then the stress, and then usually in a chiropractic thing, you get a headache, right? And so we start talking about, okay, there's no choice in taking care of the two families. There's not, I can't be like, well, just stop doing that. That's not good advice, right? The good advice is figuring out what she could add to what she could do on a positive note every single day. That's what we had to do. And then her headaches got better and better and better and better. So I'm probably not thinking of the right one, but it happens pretty much every day, like in there. And one of my favorites was this is the one that Amy doesn't know, probably. I had a kid, and he struggled hard at school. He was a very quiet kid. But when he got around adults, he was hilarious. His parents were great. They had no idea that this was even happening at school, because he was so like, oh yeah, he's getting his grades done, he's getting his homework all done, but he just didn't have this ability to like fit in as well. And the only thing that was showing up for me was the kid. He'd have like old, like that you'd been in a factory for 5 years kind of injuries, right? And he's like 13 or 14 at the time. I'm going, man, he's got it bad. And he's not very physical. He wasn't like, he was in the band. He was, like he did normal kid stuff. So it shouldn't have been like that. So one day we go, and I bring this up because of what can happen. When I adjusted him, and this happens quite a bit sometimes with this type of thing, when I adjusted the vertebrae that kind of linked to his emotions, which for him it was a lower thoracic area, he started in front of his mom. We both, it was crazy. We were all laughing, and then the next thing, I adjusted him, and he starts bawling. He just absolutely could not stop crying, and mom is shocked. Of course, he is mom's going, did he hurt you? Did he hurt you? And he goes, absolutely not. He didn't hurt me. I don't know what's happening. And so we sat and we talked a long time on this. It was one of those things that you don't think about, but you got to remember, your spine is a circuit breaker board in your basement. Okay. So three different things can overload that circuit: thoughts, toxins, trauma. Okay. So he was holding in so much because he was so good at it. He could hold in these thoughts, and not, he could be at home. His parent, he didn't have to worry his parents. He'd go to school and just deal with it. Right. So we talked at length, and hopefully, that's what it's so awesome about working on people, is not just adjusting their spine. That'd be fun, but it's not that fun as much as getting to know these people and understanding where we can go. And we became really close, because he could come get adjusted. We could talk a little bit about it, but it wasn't like over the top. How's your day going? Is that situation getting any better? And then the cool part was, I go, hey, I'm going to adjust that vertebrae again. And he'd go, okay, let's do it. And then he'd adjust, and he's like, I feel good about that. Right. So we gave him a little tool that he started understanding, life as understanding how to hang with those emotions. And I told him, we joke all the time. I go, man, college is way better. Just get really good grades and go hang out with the nerds that you are, because that's what he was. He was this big nerd and he tried to struggle to fit in with everybody else, right? And I'm like, no, you're gonna find those people in those things. So those are some stories that I want to share with you on like emotions that cause physical things that are real. Okay. It's not that it's in your head. It never has been. These are physical manifestations of things that can happen. And there's ways around it. And if we get good at management, if we get good at like understanding and moving that back and forth and knowing which ones we are, like, or, like that kind of thing. I will go through that a little bit as well. So, all right. So I think that's all the lecturing I have you for to do. Now, I want to go into one of my favorite authors that started me. I would say these three they started me on the journey completely. A guy named Wayne Dyer. I couldn't stop the book. It was insanely good. Louise Hay is where she had the publishing house that did Wayne Dyer's book, and then I found her. Okay, so these are all people, and don't think in terms that this is different than a Christian worldview or anything like that. So understand that. We'll go into that in some other detail. Sometimes people think new agey, which is not true. Like that's how they want you to stay weak, is like to keep these two separate, and then you have the battle between, just like everything else, right? So we got to be stronger than that. So these are some great quotes I loved from Louise Hay, and so we'll just go through them, and then maybe we'll have some Q&A at the end. So when we create peace and harmony and balance in our minds, we will find it in our lives. So that's reverse of what we think, right? So we think if we find peace and harmony in our lives, our minds will be balanced. See what I'm saying? That's an interesting one. So I'll repeat it. When we create peace and harmony and balance in our minds, which is visualization, we will find it in our lives. So that's basically telling you, if you visualize it, that belief is there, it will manifest into something you can see. When we create peace and harmony and balance, oh, I did it twice. I thought it was different. Okay, never mind. Every thought we think is creating our future. Okay. So every thought we think is creating our future, which is kind of scary. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I always say, like, but it helps you understand like where your focus needs to be every day. The point of power is always in the present moment. Okay. So the point of power is always in that present moment. And remember, you have been criticizing I like this one a lot. Remember, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. That's hilarious because that's so true. That's okay. Now, my favorite one that's easiest to remember. I do not fix problems. I fix my thinking. Then problems fix themselves. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, because that's all you need. And the other one, you've been criticizing yourself for years. Because that happens all the time.
Yep, for sure.
I'm glad my kid doesn't have a Facebook account. She's been doing that. She's kicking butt and taking names in classes. But when she got that first like B- on a quiz, I thought she was going to lose her mind, and we went through a lot of this stuff and she felt a lot. I was like, do you think a B- is going to stop you from your ultimate vision of who you want to be? That little stepping stone. And then she's like, oh, and then she started working where it didn't paralyze her. Right. That was the biggest thing. The paralyzing move of that moment in time is such a big deal. So, all right. So that was Louise Hay's quotes. I love them. here's Greg Braden, who is another one. I highly like his books a lot. We've gone over a couple of his where prayer and you pray. His is he has an entire book on praying because we know God has already created it. We just haven't caught up to it yet. So you pray that way. You always pray in the thanking and not that he want to do something. Does that make sense? So that's
Yeah.
Greg and his understanding of the bio field and like our bigger source self, that we're all connected, and the studying he's done is incredible. So if you ever want a good book, just look up one of his and go from there. So from the dust of distant stars to you and me, ultimately everything that is emerges from the vast soup of quantum energy of what could be, and without fail, when it does, it manifests as predictable patterns that follow the rules of nature. To change the conditions of the outer world, we are invited to actually become the conditions of our desire from within. Does that make sense? When we do so, the new conditions of health or peace are mirrored in the world around us. So, what they found in all religions, all these different things, and he studied all of it, when you are able to internally give your outer world what it wants, okay, it happens. I give the example when I laughed out loud in his book when he was meeting an Indian tribe, and Amy's heard this before. There was an Indian tribe that he was meeting and just wanted to understand their prayer. So he goes out and they go to this sacred space where they're going to go do the prayer. Well, he said, it's been kind of a drought. So what we're going to do is go to this place and you can come with us and we'll do our prayer. So they do a prayer of they were basically thanking God, thanking the universe, whatever you'd like to say, but thanking of the rain that they are allowed to have at all times. It wasn't about that moment in time, but all the time. Well, he goes the next day, there was so much rain. It was like flooding, and they hadn't seen rain in a long time in that area. So he looks at the guy and he's like, man, that worked really well. He goes, well, it kind of, and then the Indian tribe chief goes, well, yeah, we haven't figured out how to tell him how much rain we needed, but if you thank them, sometimes that's a thing, and you know that you see those beautiful days in your head. You think like Michigan had its first two sunshiny days this weekend, which was amazing. This week's supposed to be in the 60s and 70s. We can feel everybody's energy will be different, right? And we just know those things. So let's start doing it in all the times, like getting your body ready for that. Okay. So this is the last one on Greg, but faith becomes the acceptance of your power as a directive force in creation. Okay. So you have to have faith in the process is basically what that says, or the creation won't happen. It is in this unified perspective that allows us to move forward in life, trusting that through our prayers, we have planted the seeds of new possibilities. Because prayers is not just about protection and all those. It's planting the seeds of the next, the new, the why you're here, right? Our faith allows us to rest assured that our prayers are accomplished. In this knowledge, our prayers become expressions of thanks, giving life to our choices as they blossom in our world. So if we can get there, like we talk about, don't get to choose the road we pick, but we do get to possibly choose that destination if we are faithful enough in it. So there's Greg Braden, a little more detail, a little bigger than Louise Hayes stuff, but there's. So this is my other guy that I love to death. One day, I promise, I'm gonna get him on here. He would probably do a 1% tribe with us, which would be awesome. But anyway, so Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton is great author, those kind of things. He's I think the discoverer of or made it alive the process of epigenetics. Your perspective is always limited by how much you know. Expand your knowledge and you will transform your mind. Okay. So we're going to go over that a little bit too today, if I remember. But the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body. Your perception will change your chemistry, which we have talked about. It will change your chemistry. The way you attack these different emotions, the way our program gets changed, will change your actual body chemistry. People that you knew might actually go, "You look different." And I'm not even kidding about that. I can attest to that myself. Beliefs and thoughts alter cells in your body. Beliefs and thoughts alter the cells of your body. And here's his favorite one. I am the master of my genes, not the victim of them. So that's his famous, big, huge quote. So those are some good quotes I wanted to go through tonight because it's a tough topic to kind of like get into, I think. All right. So we'll end it here. What are we going to do for our 1% tribe? I would say get started in understanding what emotions you have problems with. Okay. So if there are emotions out there, I'm going to try to find it while me and you talk for the other time, but there's this thing called the emotional scale, and I'll look it up and try to get a little shot of a picture of it. But we'll go through that as well. But what you want to do is there's certain times where you're not going to go from depressed to like joyous in the same setting, right? So we have to find a step program to kind of get you there. One of the things that I found when I was super nervous about chiropractic success and those kind of things. I remember my issue. Mine was anxiety. I would when you start to practice on your own, like with your wife, there was three of us, my office manager, Dr. Rachel, and myself. And that's how we started. Once the doctor had retired, it was very nerve-wracking. In fact, and so we did some good things success-wise that you'd always think, okay, what if this goes bad? What if this goes bad? I'd always have to fight that. And one reason I have I have like an OCD problem is probably because that was my management skill of understanding like how to do things, right? So being in that flow of understanding how to build a practice. And now, every time I'm able to get into this visualization part and understanding that, the world is my oyster. I just can't believe where our little tiny clinic has come to, and I will always say that. And it keeps growing, which is so cool. So, and it will keep doing that. And it's awesome. So that's where we have to find ways and discover these emotions and how they fit into your life. And this is going to be kind of key this week. Find a partner, not that's going to judge or anything, but maybe find somebody you can bounce stuff back and forth and go, let's see how we can do this together, right? And that's where, Amy's we trained her in this thing called Psych-K. Psych-K is a process of understanding where your subconscious beliefs are. And I think because it's so much in what health and well-being is, we should, go down that path. So let me find. I talked a lot, Amy. So as I look for this, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Oh, okay, good. All right, let me get.
You were going to talk about Bruce Lipton, expand your knowledge to changing your perception. You said if you remembered, you'd go back to that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me do that. Let me go back. Let me look this up first. I want to get you the
Okay.
This is called. There it is. Emotional guidance scale. Okay. So I'm gonna let me see just the image. All right. I'm gonna try to find one that looks good. and then I'll start it. Okay, let's see if I can like. Okay. Come on, get bigger. All right. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again here. See if this works. We're getting good. I'm like a master. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So this is the emotional guidance style that I really like. There's a author, her name's Esther Hicks. Jerry and Esther Hicks were their name. And they're still doing seminars and all this kind of stuff. This is unbelievably fantastic because this is where your health and your spiritual, you can feel the difference. Okay. So understand, like, when emotions are out of check, we can't have necessarily our health that we actually want. We can do all the things, and we can say that. How many people work out, eat good, all those things, and then they still have crap happen, right? So a lot of times, if we can get a harness of this, it'll be good. It'll be really good. So what I always say is, one of the things I would recommend, if you are at the place, so I hope you can see it on there. If not, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can fix that. But the last one, so there's emotional guidance 1 through 22. Okay. So the last one, feeling, and so there's, you can see the green up top and then the blue. The blue is the last one there is fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. Okay. So I won't read them all, but here's the problem. So what we try to do in our society currently is say, okay, I'm in fear, grief, depression, despair, or powerlessness. Let's get you to contentment. Let's get you all the way. Let's skip 21, 20, 19. Let's skip 8 through 21 and get you to contentment. Okay. That doesn't work, and it's too much. So what happens is, in your brain, if you can go from, you write down what that depression, despair, or powerlessness is, and then you go to the next one. So you say, okay, well, I can't think of a good one. My relationship with my kid is just terrible. We don't talk anymore. I feel horrible because they've gone crazy, and I've gone crazy, so we don't talk anymore. So instead of going to the next thing and try to be content with that situation, maybe we say, all right, you write your way to feeling better. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
write so you say, okay, instead of me being powerless over it, maybe I'm just insecure, worried, or, worried they're going to not make it in this world, or, those kind of things. So then you say, all right, maybe I move up to worry. All right. So I'm more worried about what their life is going to be like. Well, that feels better, right? And you try to get up there and you say, okay, well, I'm disappointed that our relationship, and that's number 12, right? And as you're writing these things, I don't know if they're going in the right direction, right? So that would be pessimism. So you'd be up in the 9 area. And then you work that, right? So you try to come back with these different things. I'm telling you now, with working on people for years and years, the amount of emotion that you get in a room when somebody tells you something like a cancer diagnosis or those kind of things, when I'm able to check, you can't do it all the time. You're not going to do it perfect, but if you start checking and understanding, the end of this road is the best possible road out there, and so I recommend highly. I'll probably put it in our Substack, like write this down and then just kind of give an example of like how to do it. And so sometimes this Esther Hicks, she has you write various connections, like goes through it and just kind of keep going until you get there, especially on your one major issue or whatever that would be, right? So hopefully that would make sense. Now we
Yeah.
go back. And I said, we'll go back to Bruce Lipton's. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a little different today, but just the quotes and stuff. So hopefully that was nice because I really enjoy those quotes from those people. Okay, where were we at? Oh, okay. Okay, your perspective is always limited by how much you know. So expand your knowledge and you will transform your mind. One of the best, by far the best ways to help your emotion is to learn, right? Is to learn. And that one, we can end the slideshow now. But learning, taking it to another level of learning, not what this anxiety is doing. What is something I could learn? Like get into something, get my hands busy, learn how to do something new, right? That is a huge thing because what happens is, or learn something part of my craft. My new doctor, he's set. He was not allowed to open his new practice without, what do you do when let's say he has a slow week, right? Slow week, it's brand new, like what do you do there? Learn. You learn. You never leave a time that you're not trying to learn something. And when you do that, then what sucks is you start getting to the habit of that, and then you get so busy you can't do it anymore. So that's why my desk looks ridiculous most of the time. I always come in with some grandiose idea, and then because it gets all busy. But at the same time, it was like, as long as I go one step at a time, and it will happen. It will happen, whatever that is. So hopefully that was good. Was it all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
All right.
that's good.
All right. It's one of the harder ones to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
But just understanding where it is in your physical health is so important.
Yeah.
It's important. And, if I could have just a class where we just do that, but everybody's emotion, there's no class that's going to get you there. And that's what
No.
sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like working out. You can go to the gym, and if you sit at the bar at the gym, then it ain't gonna get you any good, right? So you gotta physically do it. And
Yeah.
and so if anything, figuring your own journey out with those emotions, especially if you can feel ones that kind of go off the schneid a little bit, like you can do a lot. And most of the time, I'm gonna say that one of our biggest problems is we don't do this every day. This should be one of our top number one or 1% tribes by far. Like it should be your mental, emotional intelligence health. That should be probably number one over everything else. That should be probably the number one thing. So just think about it. If you're doing a 5-minute meditation in the morning, unbelievable. You've started your way. I'm curious because you have a baby. Have you been able to do it? Like meditation and stuff?
She's 5.
I know, but
Are you talking
5
to
is
Jen?
hard to meditate. I don't remember if I did when they were all 5.
Yeah, because she sleeps in the morning. I get up and I drink at least a half a cup of coffee, and then I go to YouTube and just pick a guided meditation, and I found
They're so
this
good.
one that I follow that I enjoy listening to the voice, because I tried listening to a couple other ones and the voices annoyed the crap out of me. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So
Right.
that's important too. If you do guided
It totally
meditation,
is.
you have to the voice has to be soothing and comfortable. There's men, women, and they all have different accents or whatever, but I follow this one. And they're always 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll do a 15 or a 20-minute one if I have the time, but I always do 10 minutes. And I just start scrolling through until I just read the titles until one says, do that one, whatever one feels like I need that day. And that's the one I do. But I pretty much do it, I would say Monday through Friday, at least 4 times.
Awesome. That's good. That's really good. It
Yeah.
almost you can feel yourself when you don't, right? So
Yeah.
that's the interesting part. A couple days can go without it. I'm a
Yeah.
big one in I try, and this is just my way of doing it, but I do visualization in the morning and meditation at night. Now I'm going to switch it, and I love trying to switch it. So you visualize at night and then meditate in the morning. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try that this week. I try to give myself the 5 to 10 minutes, each time. My problem is the night one because I'm passed out when that occurs, usually.
Same.
Yeah. But that's part of it, like so if you're a good sleep if you weren't a good sleeper, it'd help a lot too. So
Yeah.
that is another great habit to get into.
Yep.
But hopefully it helped out. So I'll open it up to Julie. We'll see if you got any questions tonight, Julie. Go ahead and ask if you're good.
Hello, how are you all?
Good.
Good.
Every time you have a topic, I think it's so relevant. A group of us are getting together and listen to the title of this book. It's Joyce Meyer, The Battlefield
Okay.
of the Mind. And in that, it is definitely going to touch on the emotion. And what we have in our little group is we're trying to get rid of the stinking thinking. So
That's
to me,
awesome.
what goes on, it's in my mind. I had a bad day at Lowe's, or I thought I did, but I could tell my back was hurting. And
Yep.
I'm like, no, it's the attitude, because I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing, and it was going to hurt me. And I got frustrated. And
Yep.
so when I go in, it's like, okay, if I'm going to work on Saturday, I'm no longer picking up these mulches. I can't do 30 bags for people. This is
Right.
way too much.
Right.
You need guys for this. You don't need a 60-year-old lady.
Yeah.
So I can do
awesome.
a few, but I can't do 30. But everything you said is so appropriate. Is how you think is how your day's going to be. And if it goes in the negative, now you can see where the body pains come.
Correct.
So I've been catching the pains, and I'm going, no, whatever I'm thinking, I'm changing it, because the pain is done. Goodbye.
Right. Exactly.
Basically talking to yourself.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of nuts is our own internal dialogue, right? That one quote, oh, what did it say? You keep dissing yourself, and that hasn't worked out. So how about you not diss yourself anymore? and maybe you give yourself a attaboy, attagirl, and maybe that would change your perspective. So that's what I love about this topic. It's one of the hardest we'll do, as far as that goes, because herbs are fun. Movement patterns are great, but mental is definitely one of those that it's hard because we all know it. We all know it's the
People
difficult.
don't want to talk about it.
No.
And we did
It's
a little
okay.
bit today about this at church, and I won't go into all the details, but it is amazing what you tell yourself. And, there are, in the church world, we have been told that we can't, what's the word? We don't want to think too highly of ourselves, because then we're exalting ourselves. But it is okay to look in the mirror and say, I look beautiful today. I'm smart today. There's nothing wrong about saying that to yourself. And we have been told that we shouldn't do that, because now we're exalting ourselves. And I disagree with that. I think we need to say good things about us. How can you be the best person you want to be if you can't like yourself? You've got to love you before you can love others.
Right.
Anyway,
one of my favorites, and I will end it with that. That was really good. One of my favorite moments in my life was surprising if everybody has ever met me. I was actually quiet in school, which is weird in high school. And I had one of my friends that he kind of started like we'd hang out quite a bit. We liked each other a lot. He came just from a rougher background than I did. Had a lot more street experience than I ever would have imagined. But every time I got in that weight room, he would say, "My God, you're huge today." And it was just that little moment of time where, like you're like, that was pretty awesome. Like, so the next person, this is my challenge for Monday. You find that person and you just say and see what happens. Watch their whole face, everything changes, right? Instead of coming in for your regular chiropractic and you coming in and show me where it hurts, that kind of thing. Say compliment them, but compliment like something totally outlandish that maybe they don't even think about, like those kind of things. Your shirt, your eyes, your something, and you watch the glow come back and you tell me that you're not connected to that person better than you ever have. And guess what happens? This is the shocker. We all need that too. So once we do it, we get this mirror energy kicked right back to us. Probably more energy comes back to us in that moment, which is awesome. So we need to start, in our brain, let's do it. Let's do it this week, compliment, and then watch what happens. It's going to be awesome. All right, ladies, you guys
Sounds
were
good.
amazing. Thank you for putting up with my crazy. Have a good night.
Bye.